Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Marvel Multiverse role-playing game in comparison to Dungeons & Dragons and what kind of lessons we learn about the burdens that Dungeons & Dragons is carrying. And make no mistake, Dungeons & Dragons carries immense burdens that no other game in the world is forced to carry the way Dungeons & Dragons, because Dungeons & Dragons is carrying the entire tabletop role-playing game activity sphere on its shoulders every day and gets no aid. Right? So Matt Forbeck wrote Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, and I've never seen anything like it because it's unprecedented. It is so thoroughly unprecedented what it is doing and how it's managing. Right? So how does it manage this, how does it manage these problems, right? So first of all, Matt Forbeck this is a person working on a game that is not owned by Dungeons & Dragons owner Hasbro, but has fully inherited every amazing thing that Dungeons & Dragons stands for and is about, right? So it's an inheritor of Dungeons & Dragons legacy, but it's not owned by Hasbro. It's not owned by Dungeons & Dragons. And so he's able to come in, and what's truly astounding is you have this designer who 100% understands Dungeons & Dragons, and frankly, I have to say, I don't think Matt Forbeck understands Dungeons & Dragons better than like the Dungeons. I get this. Matt Forbeck does not understand Dungeons & Dragons better than Dungeons & Dragons game architects, who are Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford, but he definitely understands Dungeons & Dragons architecture better than every senior designer that Dungeons & Dragons actually pays. No question. If you read it, you will see that, right? So he comes in, right, and this is truly astounding. Like, listen to this, right? So he comes in, and so first of all, you don't normally have designers who actually understand Dungeons & Dragons. Not only does he understand it, but he has the capability of fixing not just one problem he encounters, but every problem he encounters. And get this, he's free to do it because he's not employed by Dungeons & Dragons, right? Whereas I think there are Dungeons & Dragons designers who fully understand every problem Dungeons & Dragons has, but are not allowed to fix Dungeons & Dragons problems because Dungeons & Dragons is Dungeons & Dragons, and it comes with a wealth of expectations which are never lifted, right, from its place as this incredibly important intellectual property, right? So what really blew me away, and the reason why we're talking today, and thanks for your patience, is I'm reading the backstories for Marvel Multiverse RPG, and I get to Student and Tycoon. And Student says, you have a mentor, and you have obligation studies, and you have a school. That's your benefit. Enjoy. And you get trait fast learner, right? And then it's like Tycoon. You're super wealthy. You have connections, celebrities, you are famous, and the red carpet is rolled out everywhere you go, and you can use money to solve problems. And you're like, what? Like, wait, those origins aren't even remotely equal. They're not balanced in any way, right? But any player can pick them, right? For any character, right? Like, and you're like, and you're like, wait, is this correct? Like, can anyone choose both of these? And actually, I have the book right here. And I'm looking this up because I was so shocked when I read, because I'm used to Dungeons & Dragons, and I like Dungeons & Dragons would absolutely never allow this, right? And yeah, there's no prerequisites, right? That could be chosen for any character at any rank. These are not even remotely equal in value, right? And so what Matt Forbeck has done is he's completely abandoned play balance, right? And the reason why is he's like, hey, balance is not the game's problem. Balance is the player problem, right? Oh, you feel bad because your friend is a tycoon and has lots of, power from money, and you're just a student and you don't have that. Sucks to be you. Like, get good, right? Like, we're telling a story here, and great story is not told by all the people, like, Frodo did not equal Gandalf. They didn't have the same power set, right? Like, and it is, like, you look at this thing and you're like, this is a Dungeons and Dragons, this is a book that is, I'm not telling you that Marvel Multiverse is inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. Gary Gygax is listed on page 2, and Dungeons and Dragons is listed on the cover, right? Like, they're telling you, right? And when you look at this thing, you're like, what is happening? They have completely abandoned any balance, right? Like, and they're like, we don't need it, right? We can go forward without it. We can tell better stories if the players are like, world ain't fair, or like, and it is astounding. And you're like, this is a Dungeons and Dragons designer designing Dungeons and Dragons content unleashed, because it's not owned by Hasbro. It's like, it is unbelievably good. And it also just shows you how much of a burden Dungeons and Dragons is carrying with everything that's expected of it. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.